Hello, everybody. A gracious good afternoon. I can't remember who used to say that. Was it a TV character? I don't know. Uh, so I want to tell you, well, first of all, let me tell you, stay tuned to the end of this video for some special announcements. But I wanted to tell you now, I know I said I wouldn't be doing anything political with these. And even though you might think this one is political, I just want to say it's about one particular politician. And it's not so much about his politics, it's about his service. And think of it more like if I'm not even talking about an elected official, think of it like if I was complaining about the service I got at Walmart or something. Okay, let's get that out of the way at the beginning. Are we agreed? I'm looking at you. You know who you are. Why are you shaking your head? It's like, go like this. Yes, we agree. Okay, good. So, a while back, this is a couple months ago, I was watching a video and it had to do with the ATF going to a guy's house and wanting to inspect his guns. And they didn't have a warrant or anything. And they said there was some kind of an item that he was on record as buying, and the ATF had decided that it was no longer illegal to use that item. Now, mind you, the ATF doesn't write laws, they just enforce them. But they had decided. But anyway, all that's not real important to the story, except in there they mentioned something about a particular type of law, and I don't even remember what it was, some kind of a gun regulation thing. And it would affect, they said different states were putting it in. I know one was Pennsylvania. And I looked to see what it was, and it had to do with, it said all regulated firearms. And I thought, well, I wonder exactly what they mean by regulated firearms. Are they just saying all guns? Or is it certain kind of guns? Yeah, I understand usually what they're talking about when they'll say, assault rifles or automatic weapons, or, clips with a certain, magazines they always say with over a certain size and all that. But what exactly is regulated firearms? So I thought, I will call my local congressman's office, state representative, and ask them. And I called, and this nice lady answered, and I said, what do they mean by regulated firearms? And she said, well, I would imagine it means. And I said, well, but do you know that for a fact? She said, no, not really. I said, well, do you think you could find that out for me and get back to me? Okay. Now, you wouldn't think that would be such a big request, right? Because, if her boss, assemblyman or representative, whatever you want to call him, Dallas Kephart, is going to vote on this, you assume they know what they're voting about, right? Never did hear back about that. But a little while later, I called about another video I saw. And this had to do with, I don't know if I've mentioned in any of my videos, but I watch it, not as much anymore because a lot of them got to be the same, but people that call themselves First Amendment auditors. And what they'll do, there's various things. Some of them, they'll go into government buildings and post offices, and they'll be in the common public areas filming and just see if anybody tells them they're not allowed to do it. Well, I do remember I did a thing I did do a thing here about public filming and that before. You know, as a general rule, you can go into a lobby of a public building, not a private building, and you can film whatever you can see. It's the same as being outside. If you're in a public place, you can film. But a lot of people don't get all upset about that. I'll tell you one of my favorite guys. I don't know if I mentioned him down here before. There's a guy called Jeff Gray. Everybody knows his real name. You know, all these guys usually they have like a fake name. Like he always went by, Know Your Oath or something like that. Follow Your Oath. I forget. But he's been arrested several times, so everybody knows his name. By the way, every time he's been arrested, the charges were either dropped or he had to beat them in court, and he's won several federal lawsuits. But I like him because what he does is he'll go out in front of City Hall or someplace, or sometimes just, on Main Street, and he holds up a cardboard sign that says, "God bless our homeless vets." People get upset about that. And it's like I've said before, I'm an atheist. It doesn't bother me. I mean, what could possibly be less offensive than "God bless our homeless vets"? But they say you can't do that here. And some of them, they think that he's homeless himself and panhandling, and we got city laws against that. Even though the city laws are unconstitutional, the Supreme Court has ruled that panhandling is free speech. But anyway, so I watch a lot of these auditor type guys, and I was watching, there's a lady who, she went into the license bureau. And we'll call it DMV. Everybody knows what DMV is, although I'm not sure if Pennsylvania you ever uses that exact term. But she goes in and she's filming, and the people at the DMV tell her she's not allowed to. And I mean, these things, they'll call the police and stuff on people. What the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation does that's different from most places is they shut down their windows and stop serving people. And there'll be 50, 60, 70 people sitting there waiting to get their license renewed or whatever they're doing. A lot of them have to get back to work. Some of them have to get home before school's out or whatever. Or they just want to get on with their lives. And people at the license place says, "Oh, sorry, we can't serve anybody because we've got this lady here with a camera." And all they're doing is stirring up a mob because they know they can't really do anything about this lady. So instead, they get the people all mad at her, and either the people will force her out, or when the police come, they can say, "Look, she's causing a disturbance." And the thing that gets me, there's a couple of things that bother me about it, is first of all, the people are stupid because they get wrong at the wrong people. If you're ever someplace at a government office and they do something like this, don't get mad at the girl with the camera. Get mad at the damn workers who stopped doing their job that you're paying your tax money for them to do. There's absolutely no reason. And they always say, "Oh, privacy. We have people's personal information here." No, first of all, you think about it. If you're in it, most of these people, they're filming with a cell phone. You can't stand across the room and read somebody's driver's license. And, this girl doesn't go up and try to go over somebody's shoulder to see their private stuff. And also, just in general, any of these offices that talk about, well, you can't film because there's papers on people's desk with private information that, well, don't have papers laying out with people's private information. And if you have people coming in and you have to talk to them about, renewing a driver's license, or, any government building, someone might be paying property taxes or whatever they're doing, and it involves asking them, questions about where they live and their birthday or whatever. Well, the office should be set up so that they can't be overheard anyhow. It doesn't matter if someone has a camera. If someone else is just sitting there waiting to go next, you don't want them hearing your private information. But anyway, back to this lady at the DMV and them getting the people all riled up and stuff. And then the police come, the Pennsylvania State Police, and they tell the girl that she can't be doing this, and they trespass her from the premises. And this really makes me mad, because I started off watching these videos from people from all over the country, and I always felt a little smug, that it wasn't Pennsylvania, and now there it is, Pennsylvania. So the two types of videos that make me the maddest is when it's the Pennsylvania State Police, or I haven't seen any so far with just Pennsylvania local cops. I'm sure somebody's going to be doing something in Pittsburgh or whatever. But that, or any place where there's a library. When people go and do these audits at a public library, and the library calls the police or tries to trespass them and stuff, I got a personal thing about that, because I happen to be fond of public libraries. I happen to be fond of the Bill of Rights. And I think the libraries are like the embodiment of the Bill of Rights, the freedom of the press, freedom of speech. Anyway, so back to Dallas Kephardt's office. All of this was in way of saying that I never did hear back about that gun thing, and now I call to express my displeasure. And I know I always say things like that sort of sarcastically, but I called and politely said that I saw this video and I don't think it's right that they're closing down these offices like this to force this lady out and to get the mob against her. Now, this time I called, I talked to a guy, and he claimed to listen to what I was saying. In the discussion, I was saying to him about, but the freedom of press means you can go into a public office. I said, like, someone could go in. I said, no, I'm not saying I would do this, because this isn't the kind of thing I do. I said, but someone could come in to your office there and in the public waiting room be filming. He said, oh, no, you can't. No, there's a state law against that. He says you can film outside, but not inside. And I said I wasn't sure how that could be true, because it's a constitutional thing and the state can't do it. And I'll tell you, ever since then, I have a few times tried to find this state law, and I can't find any record of it. But anyway, so I said I'd like for Representative Kephardt to know about this, and I think this is something that should be addressed by the Pennsylvania General Assembly, of just how the Department of Transportation reacts to this sort of thing, and that it's a First Amendment issue. Never heard back about that. So a while later, I had to call again, and I talked to the lady who I think it was that I talked to the first time, and because of other conversations, I had the idea that the guy that I talked to that time was actually a summer intern. But then when I was talking to this girl, I found out, no, this guy was the supervisor of all of Kephardt's offices. So that bothered me, that he seemed to be ignorant and also not very polite. So I talked to this girl again, and again I said about the this thing with the First Amendment and stuff, and she wrote everything down and all that. And I think that was about a month ago, and I hear nothing. I hear nothing. Now, I got to tell you, one night I was here and I got this robocall, and it was an invitation to a phone thing for a telephonic town meeting with Dallas Kephart. And I thought, oh, I'm actually going to listen to this. And people called in about the stupidest crap. And he sat there and politely talked to them. And well, one person called in with this myth that's gone around lately. I've heard of it from many places. I first heard them saying, oh, California schools, about them putting a kitty litter box in the corner of the classroom for kids who think they are furries, or kids who think that they are cats, they identify as cats. And it's stupid. And it's one of those things where it's always like, well, my hairdresser's cousin has a brother-in-law who works at the school, and he said, you know what I mean? But someone called in that night, and they said it was going on in Du Bois. About a month before, someone else I'd heard said, in Bellefonte School. But anyway, and instead of, now I could see where Dallas wouldn't if I was our state representative, I'd be like, you're nuts, right? Anyway, but he could have politely said, well, I haven't ever heard of anything like that. I don't know that that's true. Instead, he sort of encouraged the person, yeah, you're right, this shouldn't be happening. And of course, somebody called in about the Second Amendment. He was all over that because, you're not going to lose any votes in central Pennsylvania saying that you support the right of hillbillies to have bazookas. But anyway, again, he was, all talking nice to people. Some of them had legitimate stuff to talk about, and some of them was crazy. But somehow he doesn't seem to have any concerns about the guy who calls about the First Amendment. So I wanted to mention that. And I guess that's about all I wanted to say about that. But like I said, I have a couple of special announcements. Everybody should know that on November 3rd and 4th, I'll be at the Laugh Hut in Nashville. So anybody in the Nashville area, come out and see me there. And on the week of November 13th, I'll be at the Dubuque Playhouse. 1 week only. I'm filling in for Mel Gibson in the role of Tevye on Fiddler of the Roof. And I'm told there are still seats available. So anybody out there in the Dubuque area, you want to come and hear me saying, if I were a rich man, yada da 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 da, all day long. Anyway, and like I say, I guess Mel Gibson, his granddaughter or great-granddaughter's getting married or something, so he's taking off the whole week. He has to go to the Outback and have a, Australian hillbilly wedding. But it's an opportunity for me, so you all come out and see me. And I think it's the role I was born for, to tell you the truth. So remember to enjoy your sunrises and sunsets, and peace out.